This is from Johan Goudsblom. It's called Fire and Civilization. It's published in 1992. This is from the introduction on page 1. Introduction: the civilizing process and the control of fire. Fire. The ability to handle fire is a universal human attainment found in every known society. It is also, to an even greater extent than either language or the use of tools, exclusively human. Rudimentary forms of language and tool use are also found among non-human primates and other animals, but only humans have learned as part of their culture to control fire. According to the simplest definition in modern encyclopedias, fire is a process of combustion manifested in heat and light. Its immediate effect is destructive. It disintegrates the highly organized structure of organic substances and reduces them to ashes and smoke. This effect is irreversible. It is impossible for the remains to revert to their original shapes and colors. The phoenix rising from its ashes exists only in the human imagination. Nor does fire have any purpose. The combustion process is blind and aimless. No matter what it touches, if the material is flammable, it will be consumed. Of course, the absence of purpose is not peculiar to fire. The same can be said about other natural forces such as rain or wind. But then fire has the rare quality of being self-generating. Fire causes heat, and heat in turn causes fire. Destructive, irreversible, purposeless, self-generating, this does not sound like a very attractive list of properties. What could have induced our ancestors in distant prehistoric past to tame this wild force of nature and to make it a part of our own societies? What enabled them to do so? And why did they find it worthwhile? What further consequences did it have for humanity itself and for its relationship with the rest of nature? Okay, I am directly in front of the microphone, and the last section and this section is a +10 manual add on the decibels, and I'm using a bass boost equalizer setup. And for the first section there was no fan in the background, but I have turned on the fan, which is about 8 feet away on a medium setting. These questions have fascinated people for a long time. There is a rich mythology in which the conquest of fire appears as a great blessing to humankind, often acquired with the aid of a demigod such as Prometheus. In his book Myths of the Origins of Fire, the British folklorist and anthropologist Sir James Frazer collected a great number of such stories showing how people all over the world have considered fire as something very precious, which somehow fell into our forefathers' possession through subterfuge or good luck. As the French anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss has pointed out, the common feature in all such myths is the suggestion that by obtaining fire and being able to cook their food, people became truly human. In many early myths, fire is treated as if it were a living being, possessed of a spirit with good or evil intentions of its own. Later on in the natural philosophies of literate groups in China, India, and Greece, fire came to be regarded as one of the primal elements of which the world was composed. According to some ancient cosmologists, it was even the major force in the universe. Alchemists and chemists in medieval and early modern Europe continued to put the phenomenon of fire at the center of their research. In the 19th century, however, the notion of fire in the physical sciences was replaced by other concepts such as heat and energy, and it lost its prominent place in scientific theory. Okay, I have reduced the preamplifying level to a +5 decibels, and I've switched to the classic double hump equalizer setting, which looks like the very top of a heart shape. At the same time, fire continued to hold the attention of students of the evolution of human culture. Charles Darwin himself noted in The Descent of Man, "This discovery of fire, probably the greatest ever made by man, excepting language, dates from before the dawn of history. Many anthropologists in Britain, and even more in Germany, thought along similar lines and wrote extensively on the importance of the mastery of fire for the development of civilization." The British anthropologist Edward B. Tylor a younger contemporary of Darwin, made an important contribution with a painstaking demonstration that all stories about peoples who allegedly had not mastered the art of controlling fire were false. In the 20th century, however, social scientists have tended to follow the example of their colleagues in the natural sciences and have dropped the subject of fire from their agenda. A few anthropologists, such as Omer C. Stewart, continue to draw attention to its importance in shaping human prehistory, and some cultural geographers, most notably Carl Sauer, never ceased to recognize fire as a major agency by which people had changed the face of the earth. Even so, the overwhelming tendency has been to ignore it. Thus, the 17-volume International Encyclopedia of the Social Sciences, published in 1968, that's the latest edition, does not list the word fire at all, either as an entry or in the general index. It is as if our societies can function without fire and controlling it poses no problems. One of the aims of this book, then, is to restore the balance of interest. By drawing attention to fire is not my only purpose. By focusing on the control of fire, I wish to raise issues of a more general, theoretical nature as well. The subject can help to remind us how deeply human social life is embedded in ecological processes. And it also shows that these ecological processes have been affected for a much more lengthy period than is commonly realized by the activities of humans. End of recording.